Hey guys, so I am here with Jamie Tworkowski. We actually heard from him last month with his organization To Write Love on Her Arms, and we're here to talk to him again this time, but this time it's a little different.
One last glance from a taxi cab.
We are here at outside the Crazy Donkey in Farmingdale, New York. My parents fell in love a few miles from here, Mineola. I didn't tell you that before. A little tidbit. But no, I was part of, I think it was 21 of us that went to Calcutta in January, and musicians and friends and insurance salespeople and just kind of a really eclectic group that took a trip to Calcutta. I think for all of us it was our first time there, and the trip kind of came out of the idea of a guy named Stephen Christian who plays in a band called Amberlin. She likes Amberlin.
They're my favorite. What was the company you worked with? What were you doing while you were there?
While we were there, we worked with two different organizations, two different NGOs, one called Shonlop, one called Opniop, and both work in the realm of human trafficking, and in two different situations, all in and around the red light district there. And so Shonlop, it was a center for girls rescued from the sex trade. And I think there was roughly 30 girls, the oldest being 17. We saw a 10-year-old with a baby. I think the youngest there was 9. And then Opniop has several locations, several centers in and around the red light district. And not just in Calcutta, but the ones that we visited were in Calcutta. And for the most of us spent most of our time with Opniop, and we broke into groups and we taught music, dance, and art to the kids. And for the most part, these are the children of prostitutes, children that in a lot of cases are born and raised in those neighborhoods, and so they're known as high risk, not necessarily kids that have been trafficked or kids that have been a part of it directly. But basically, this is kind of a safe place for them in those neighborhoods. And so we got to come, and the Amberlin guys actually were more focused on just some restoration stuff, like just painting and kind of brightening the place up and bringing some rooms back to life. And the rest of us taught music, dance, and art. And so it was amazing. And the funny thing was not that we were gifted in those areas, but it didn't matter. Like, it was just a blast to hang out with these kids and get to know these kids every day.
Alright, so I know you said you went with Amberlin whenever you went to India. Now, why did they plan this trip? Why did they want to go? What was their thoughts behind going to India and doing this?
I think it grew out of a trip that Stephen led to Haiti, which I think was with 11 people. And it's cool. We were talking about it last night. I was with those guys, and he was just saying the world that they live in and work in is very self-absorbed. Like, they're basically constantly on a stage and people are catering to them, and it's very self-centered, and he's a guy with a really special heart that I think is constantly trying to kind of balance that out, and use the platform that they have. And they do interviews every day, and get asked about nothing, like just about things that aren't that significant. And I think he told me, even in going to Haiti and then I think again to India, just they wanted to have something to talk about. Like, they wanted not only something, but they wanted to use their platform to share something significant, and these are places and issues and needs in the world that deserve our attention, and he knows these things deserve our attention more than Amberlin.
I hear that the smells over there are horrible. What is your opinion on the smells of India?
It's funny, like, the smell doesn't come to mind, but there's a constant buzz of taxi honking, like non-stop. It's unbelievable. And from the second you walk out of the airport, you just hear it. I mean, like, I don't know, maybe 10 a minute, that's just how they drive there, it's just nonstop. And we're not far from New York City, so it's about as close as we get. But I remember we all kind of laughed because as an American, like, New York City is kind of the as far as the bar gets raised, like, for the taxi world. And then you go to a place like Calcutta and you're like, oh, New York's nothing, so it's funny. But yeah, I mean, just I think across the board, like, it's kind of sensory overload, because you get there and there's people everywhere, and it's beautiful and it's painful and it's dirty and it's all these things at the same time, But yeah, the taxi honking is what comes to mind first.
Okay, Jamie, so what about like the food and the clothes and all of that stuff over there? What was that like?
Well, everything was spicy. Even if you asked if it was spicy and they said no, for me it was spicy. And I kind of err on that side of like low tolerance, I guess.
Give me time to prove I want the rest of you.
Moving along to Write Love on Her Arms, I want to ask you, this right here is actually the Hindi shirt for To Write Love on Her Arms, and I want to ask you, what does this mean to you? Like, how did you come up with this idea, and why did you decide to make this Hindi shirt?
We there's a couple phrases that we use a lot, and one of them is "rescue is possible," and you know, that was one that long before the India trip, this was a phrase and an idea that we had kind of fallen in love with, and then you know, we were around girls that had literally been rescued from these situations, and so I think to me it gave this phrase life in a whole new way. The things that we talk about on a daily basis here didn't seem so far from those things, you know, and so I don't know, I think it's felt really good because some people will say, India, what does that have to do with, you know, the stuff you guys work on, and yet I think if you take a moment and think about it, that there is that similarity, you know. I think that we're all broken people and that we're all people in need, and we talk so much about community and about doing life together and saying that you know, these are issues in America that people don't talk about, and we're saying no, these are things that we can talk about and we have to talk about, and here, you know, we went to a place that a lot of people from our country never see, and we experienced and we're around people that deal with things that we don't hear enough about, you know. And so I think even going back to Stephen from Anne Boleyn, just the idea of life's not fair, and I think part of our job is to do our part to make it, to balance it out, you know.